I'm sure you've heard the name Toland before. This was a legendary warlock who ventured down into the pit of the Hellmouth with Eris Morn and the rest of their fire team. Now the reason I bring up this name again is because it appears in the new Forsaken DLC, which is actually pretty crazy. So today we'll discuss who Toland is, how he's still alive, and where we might find him in Forsaken. During the City Age, when survivors fled to the safety of the Traveler, many legends began to rise. You have groups and people like the Iron Lord, Saint 14's Crusade against the Fallen, the Mask of the Speaker, and so on. Alongside those great heroes though, there was a warlock by the name of Toland. Toland himself was a bit different though. Instead of being this guardian most people looked up to, he was actually frowned upon and eventually exiled from the city due to his theories on the darkness and extensive study of the Hive. Years after a great battle took place on the moon between the Hive and the Guardians, Eris Morn and Ariana III needed a way to destroy Crota for good. If not, he would gather his forces, invade Earth, and wipe out humanity in the process. So they thought of an idea, one that could have some sacrifice, but it would be worth it. Seeking the answers to the questions they had, they sought out Toland, whose knowledge on the Hive was basically its own encyclopedia. Toland told them of this ascendant realm and how it was the only way to kill a Hive god, being Crota, for good. You gotta enter the throne world, defeat his minions, and slay the Hive god. After much discussion and debate, Toland, Eris, and Ariana decided to team up, even adding Veltarlo, Saimoda, and Omar Aga to their fire team. The fire team of 6 then ventured down into the pit, hoping to end Crota's reign for good and cleanse Earth of any impending Hive infection. But as we know, this didn't really go as planned.
Only one crawled out. I am Eris, the last. I have seen what the Hive call a god.
Throughout all of Toland's experiments and studies, he became fascinated with the Song of Eryut, or the Deathsinger. Now, it's not exactly known how he gained all this Hive knowledge, but Toland claims it was from the darkness itself, which is a whole nother story and something else to discuss, but let's get back to the Deathsinger thing. So during their journey through this throne world, or Crota's ascendant realm, Toland attempted to identify himself as a friend to the Deathsinger. Now this can be seen in Ghost Fragment the Hellmouth, and here's what that says. Vel is spectacularly dead. Omar and Sai are quite dead too. Ariana, poor Ariana, she was so very bright at the end, wasn't she? A brave light. But Crota was unmoved. That shadow is detached from its source. Light makes it darker. I could feel his presence, and if I still had a ghost, I'm sure it would have screamed. I too am detached from my source. The charming Eryut made her introductions, and I was very pleased to meet her. We had a conversation, a couple of old wizards exchanging definitions. I defined myself a friend. She defined for me the quiddity of death, and she sang the song of that fearful autonomy. Revelation, my friends, it goes down hard. The definition killed me. The killing redefined me. So Toland had this meeting with the Deathsinger, basically said, hey, I love your song, you're pretty cool, I'm a friend, and then she killed him. Now the second half of that card is also interesting because it's in Destiny 2's subclass mission for the Warlock. Here it looks like Toland appears through these holograms, he's giving the Guardians some, lessons, and he actually mentioned some quotes from this same card, but also some new ones. So take a listen to this for a couple of minutes. If you don't want to listen to it, you can skip forward a bit, but it's actually quite interesting.
This is the shape and the point of the tooth. Nothing has ever lived that will not die. Now I fly between green-black suns, in the labyrinth beyond Crota's Godstar. This is the overworld, the sea of screams, where the throne universes of the great Hive fester in eternal majesty. I move among them. I map the shapes and connections of this world. I want to appear in the tower and taunt them. Lo, lo, I never sleep. I dance in light and shadow. I never sleep. I will never die. I will never die. I want to ask them, if you followed your laws here to this trembling, fearful place, of what use were those laws? But I have work to do. I shout into deep places. Osiris, I call. Osiris, Osiris, can you hear me? The traveler came out of the void that surrounds all things. Thus we know that the void is full of power. Thus we enter the void without fear. Small minds will call your abilities blasphemous. They will compare you to the abominable wizards of the Hive.
I think these light projections might be lessons.
But you will not be held back. Gifted with a traveler's light, armed with the secret physics of a lost age, you will tear reality asunder. You will fear nothing, and nothing will not fear you.
Toland talks of the void, how he flies between Crota's God Star, and much more. Now, although the Deathsinger killed Toland, he still lives through this Hive realm and is able to communicate with the Guardian through messages he sent during the Taken King. Now, we're not exactly sure how these reached us, but let's take a look at them. First, we have Oryx Rebunked. It says, "Hello again, it's me. I'm sure you know my name. Let me talk for a while. Let me talk. I do take a debased joy in speaking again to small human form heads. When Crota's victory over our little blue world seemed certain, it was Oryx who called his child back into the netherworld to plan its final victory. It was to Oryx that the violence of his spawn was tithed. Oryx is a wielder and a servant of a terrible truth. He has predicated himself on it. He has pursued across thousands of Karn worlds his quest to embody it, and you've seen the force of that truth extended to create these Taken." So Toland basically goes on to talk more about Oryx, but you get the point that he's talking again with the Guardian from that first sentence there. The second one we have is the Echo of Oryx card. He says, "Dearest Guardian, I write to you from a place of high contempt. No, don't be offended, don't be so superficial. It's in the architecture of these spaces, they look down on you. I wander out here, in worlds cut by sharp Hive swords, and I send back these messages for you." And lastly, the King's Fall card is pretty interesting. I'm not going to read it all, but I will summarize it for you. So basically, Toland finds out that we went into Oryx's area, the King's Fall raid, his ascendant realm, and he tells us that we were not supposed to touch the light. He says, "You fools, you disastrous, bumbling squanderers. It's not right. Who now shall be first navigator, lord of shapes, harrowed god, taken king? Not you. You might have been kings and queens of the deep, but you have toppled Oryx and you have not replaced him. There must be a strongest one. It is the architecture of these spaces. Why are you leaving?" So there, Toland is mad that we killed Oryx and didn't take over his position. Now all that was back during the Taken King with Toland's messages. So he found a way to talk to the Guardian, or at least relay these messages back from wherever he is in those Hive worlds. When browsing through some of the Game Informer pictures and gifs from last month, I noticed something that many of us may have just brushed over. We know that the Dreaming City houses its own ascendant realm and that some dark stuff is going on there. You have Taken power oozing out everywhere from within, giant beasts await in the core, and there's lots of secrets. So while showing off this new area, I found this. The Guardian is navigating through a dark realm on these floating rocks and is getting either a message, comm, or lesson from none other than Toland the Shattered. Now, being a fan of the lore and the game's story, I would love to finally meet Toland, but I wouldn't exactly jump to that conclusion right away. Now, this most likely is some type of message or broadcast, but you can't rule anything out 100%, right? We know Toland might not be in physical form, but who says it can't be some type of other way? But with this Guardian being in this Ascendant realm or Throne world, whatever it is, it might be an easier way for Toland to communicate with us. But regardless of how exactly we'll come into contact with Toland, you can definitely be sure we're going to see more of him in Forsaken. Anyway, Guardians, that's all I got for today's video. What other mysteries would you like me to dive into in future videos? And be sure to like this video up if you enjoyed. Just a little shout out here, if you'd like to be a voice actor in my game, the link is down below to the available parts, and I hope to receive some more submissions from you all. Anyway, thanks for watching. My name's Evade, and I'll catch you Guardians in the next one.